Hey, this is Don from Padlock Technologies again with another video. It's been a long time, And guys probably are asking, where have I been? Well, I've been dealing with some new tech. Not really new tech, but new tech to me, right? Or stuff that I haven't revisited in a while. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Also, I've been doing some research and doing some studying on Cisco's Hypershield with their smart switches. Video coming soon about that. Great technology. Think it's pretty cool. But I'm gonna tell you right now, from a hardware perspective, probably takes you about 6 months just to get the equipment in. So that's another video. I'll talk about that later. Video's coming soon. Don't worry about that. But what we're gonna talk about today is Ubiquiti. And a lot of people know about Ubiquiti, or if you don't know anything about Ubiquiti, it kind of sits in that, if I'm going to be honest, it's going to be right under Meraki, or depending on who you ask, right next to Meraki, right? There are other competitors. One of them is I think it's Omada. That's another competitor that's to Unify. So if I were to rank these things, I would say like Meraki, Unified, Omada right now. Now these can change. Right now, Meraki is kind of like the leader in this space, small business kind of space, even though they're in data centers as well and other things like that. And then I think Ubiquiti is a challenger, and then Omada is kind of a challenger to Ubiquiti. Now, I'm going to be flat out honest here. Cisco, if you don't start innovating, you're going to lose your lunch to other competitors because they are looking at what you did because you're the first, the market mover. And then they're seeing what's wrong with your platform. And then they're making the things that are wrong about your platform, they're making it better in their platform. And I'm going to tell you flat out, right? I can see Ubiquiti, if they start innovating a little bit more into the enterprise space, which they do have enterprise equipment, by the way. Ubiquiti sent me one of those enterprise switches and firewall so I can review it. Right now, I just have the Dream Pro and a 24 port switch. So if you want me to review the enterprise stuff, send it to me, man. Let me do a quick review and then I'll send it back, or I'll just buy it from you, whatever, whatever. But like I was saying before, if Ubiquiti keeps innovating and moving closer into that enterprise space, I can see them being a real problem for Meraki. Meraki is still a great system, great ecosystem. Their products are great. They just work. But I think Meraki now has some competition with Ubiquiti. Now, where does this fit in? Like I said before, small business environment right now. They do have enterprise switches, like I said. I haven't tested those out, so I'm just going to talk about the small business line. Remember back in the day when Cisco had like the old small business SG300 switches? These are better than those. Way better than those. The ecosystem is way better than those. And I can see like gyms, small doctor's office, dentists, CPA, stuff like that. I can see Ubiquiti fitting right in here. Now, the one thing I will say, their firewall is kind of lackluster. Great, great for what it does, but in my opinion, I wouldn't use their firewall for a majority of use cases because there are some limitations with their firewalls. This is where stuff like Meraki, Cisco, the smaller units like the 1200 series, they kind of fit in that vein. Things like, you know, I'm gonna just use those two mainly. But if I compared it to like PFSense or something like that, I can see them fighting in the PFSense world. Those two firewalls fighting like a Dream Machine Pro, which is what I have, and PFSense or OpenSense firewall. They're kind of in that vein. Doesn't mean though, like I said before, if Ubiquiti really wants to try to tackle that enterprise market because they do have an enterprise firewall, I can see people using that if they don't want to pay the Cisco price tag or the Juniper price tag or the Palo Alto price tag. I can see that. But with that being said, this is what their site manager is. Now, compared to Meraki, Meraki has their own like cloud platform. Unify actually has a cloud platform as well called Site Manager, and you can actually host your own if you wanted to. So right here, you see the cloud manager here, and then you see my own. This is my own one, right? And then you can hook your own server into Cloud Manager so you can kind of manage a whole bunch of stuff. So we got default, which is what it comes with. Now you see it says server one, that's my own hosted platform for anybody that's looking to get something like this and have it managed so you can focus on your business while we focus on the network. If you're looking for that and you're a small business, you're a gym, you're a CPA, you're a realtor, anything like that, link's going to be in description below. Let's talk about getting this into your environment. And then we have this one that says udm-pro. That is the firewall. The firewall can actually act like a controller as well. They also have a thing called cloud key, which is for if you don't have a firewall that has a controller, the cloud key would act like a controller, and then you basically do everything here. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the PLT office. All I have to do is click in here. Now what you see is the network. And then you have this thing called Protect. Now, Protect is the camera system. Like I said before, small business. You want networking, you want a camera system, kind of all in one platform. This is where Ubiquiti comes into play. Meraki does the same thing. I'm not saying Meraki doesn't do it. And Omatis has the same thing. So it's all about what you're comfortable with in terms of ecosystem here. But this Protect system, there is a camera back here that I can literally click into the camera and then I can see what's going on. There's infrared cameras, all kind of stuff, but it's all managed in one platform. So again, I'm going to kick PTL office. That's going to bang me up into here, right? So to show me right now, I'm going to be flat out honest. This is probably one of the coolest dashboards I've ever seen. And when it comes to Ubiquiti stuff, I say they're like the Apple when it comes to their design, even down to packaging. The way they package their stuff is very Apple-like, right? So whoever is on their design team probably was a fan of Apple's design, and they pretty much like carbon copy the Apple feel, right? Even down to like the color schemes that they're using for their equipment. All this stuff is cool, right? Gives you live throughput. This is live throughput going through the firewall, or quote unquote the Dream Machine Pro. Now they also have some advanced stuff that you can do, like cybersecure enhanced. This is $100 a year. Again, if you're a small business, something like that, and you don't want to pay for ridiculous licensing, this may be right up your alley. Now, that doesn't mean this is a set it and forget it thing. This is why I said link in the description below to get this in your environment and for us to manage it for you, because this is not a set it and forget it thing, right? And on top of that, you don't you don't have time to be worried about this, right? You got time to, do the things that make your business make money. This is where we come in. Now, again, the cool thing here is you can see like apps, what's going on. Like I said, live data. You can see the connections. If I wanted to see the topology, I would just click this topology button here. It actually show me how everything is connected. Here's Comcast coming into the Dream Machine Pro. Let me actually expand this a little bit if I can. Yeah. So this is Comcast coming into the Dream Machine that's connected to the switch. Here's 4 devices connected directly to the switch. And then this device is on a port which goes to my actual lab server. So that's connected with all these machines. And if I connect it to one of my SSIDs, it would show, hey, there's a machine off of there. So again, this is super cool that it gives you the topology and you can just go down and see what's connected to what. Now it uses like LLDP to give you this topology, but I think this is pretty cool. Now from the protect side, again, I'm going to show you what this looks like because I hit protect and it's going to show me my camera over here. So this is the camera system, and that's actually what I'm looking at right now. So this is what I'm doing the video on back here in the rack back there. So again, camera system. If you wanted to do like devices, so you go to your devices here, and here's all my devices that are hooked in. Again, G Machine Pro, Switch, AP, Flex. Now, if I go back and show you, let's go back to my hosted one, and I believe, what network is this? This is a home office one, right? So this gives you the same look and feel as the cloud base. And if I go to my devices, this is I just have Cloud Gateway Max and a 16 porter here, which I'm going to use for just my home stuff. So when my kids plug in, I can do a bunch of stuff and just avoid any problems like them going to sites that they're not supposed to be really going to. All right. Again, this is also good for your home hookup. You want a home smart home. You want, camera systems. You want to avoid certain content. You want to, have guests Wi-Fi and all that stuff. You can also use Ubiquiti for that. So it plays in that vein of kind of like your prosumer to small business. Now, when you start getting into enterprise and you need some enterprise features, this is where Ubiquiti is kind of falling short. But again, they have enterprise equipment that may for your if you need it, right? It depends on your needs, right? Because their firewall, again, there's certain things I don't like about it, right? From a traditional firewall. So again, it's all use case. The other thing is client devices. So I click on client devices. I can pretty much see what's connected to what. I got corporate VLAN, stuff like that. Then you have ports. Now, the cool part about this is on the 24 port switch. There's also ports on the Dream Machine Pro, right? That shows you how everything is connected here. So that's a good thing. Radios, obviously, this is going to give you some information about the radios, environment, stuff like that. Then you have your insights, which I think this is cool too. Remember, I really think this is like they really took like Apple's design philosophy and really start putting it in their GUI compared to Meraki. All right, that's all I'm compared to. Ahmad is kind of the same, but I think if I were to pick the better UI, I would say Ubiquiti kind of got everybody beat. Now you can see your flows. That's like a normal firewall. Activities. This will give you application stuff. Now, the thing I like about this, let's say somebody was going to something you didn't want them to go to, and it was an application, you could just quickly hit block apps, and it'll create a simple app blocking rule, right? This is for those sites that you don't want people going to. Um, and you know what I mean by that. And you can just hit block the app, create a block rule, and you're done. Again, very simple stuff. The Dream Machine Pro is great for very simple stuff. But if you want to go dynamic and really have an enterprise grade firewall, I don't think Ubiquiti is there just yet. In terms of management style, these are all the things that you can do on the back end. So you have your Wi-Fi network, your Wi-Fi networks, you have your normal networks that you create. Right now, I have a layer 2 switch, not a layer 3 switch. So when you create these networks, they're going to be on the firewall. Again, if you're a small business, that's really all you need. You don't really need a layer 3 firewall. I mean, layer 3 switch. Most people don't need that as a small business. Your internet stuff, which is going to be off of your uh, firewall. VPNs, I have not done the VPN yet. Here's another thing why I said it's not enterprise ready, because their client is pretty much open VPN, right? You know me, I'm a big fan of secure client. And, right after that would be, Global Protect for Palo and then whatever Fortinet uses. I can't remember off the top of my head. Their client, I'm not really a fan of OpenVPN. Some people like it, some people don't. I'm just not a fan of it based on the other clients that I've used. Site-to-site VPN, create a site-to-site VPN. You can have policy-based or route-based. You know how I feel about policy-based VPNs. Those are legacy, so we don't really want to touch that. Now, here's the thing that's a lot better in the firewall, which is this policy engine. They have this is an update to what it used to be. Now you have actual zones that you can create policies over. And I think this is cool because this reminds me of Cisco TrustSec, right? So you have your source on the left, destination on the right, right? So all you have to do is, let's say I wanted to create a rule between, let's just look at it from internal to guest, we're blocking it, right? So we click that, shows you the exact rule that's being blocked. If we go from guest zone to internal zone, it's showing you that it's blocked. I really like this in terms of rule base, because again, if you're a TrustSec person, this is the TrustSec makers. So if you're used to that, this is nothing to create a rule, right? Policy-based routing, haven't done anything yet. QoS, I believe I have QoS for this for some of the most important apps. I'm prioritizing it to saying, hey, this is basically a priority queue or a low latency queue. If you know anything about QoS, Cisco world, there's your low latency queue or LLQ. This is kind of like LLQ. It's going to prioritize this traffic over everything else, right? Pop quiz: how many priority queues do you have in a Cisco switch? I mean, Cisco router. Put the answer in the comments below, and I'll like the comment if you get the answer right. Then you have your port forwarding. This is basically, someone coming in from the outside, you're poking a hole in the firewall. You got your static routes. If you want to create static routes for something, OSPF, since everybody uses OSPF, you're going to use OSPF. Now, BGP, here's what I want to talk about BGP. This is another thing about the firewall that I'm like, it's kind of cool, but I can see this not working in enterprise environments because this is actually a configuration file, right? It's called FR, I think it's FRR BGP format. It looks like how you configure BGP on Cisco routers. And you put all your commands in like a notepad, save it to a .conf file, and then you would upload it, and then that's your BGP configurations. I think Ubiquiti kind of needs to change that where you could just, for people to adopt this firewall a lot more, I think they need to just go, okay, we need some basic BGP configurations in here. Because telling people, hey, you got to make a conf file, and unless you're a network engineer and you know what you're doing, the average person is not going to create a conf file for BGP. They don't even know what BGP is and upload this, right? So this is one point I don't like about this. The firewall is the way they do BGP. For me, it's easy. Making a file and uploading this is easy. For average people who are trying to use this, if they have to use BGP, if you come in here and tell, oh, you got to create a file, they're going to say, what does the file look like? And I don't even know what any of this stuff means. So again, small businesses, you don't have time to learn this stuff. Link in the description below. DNS stuff, NAT stuff. This is your basic NATing. You could do one-to-one NAT. You could do overload NAT, all that kind of stuff. ACLs is mainly what's going to be applied to like switches and stuff like that. Cybersecure. This is more of your content filtering stuff, right? You want to do content filtering stuff like that. It's kind of limited, like I said. But if you buy the upgrade package, which is $100, you get more content that you can filter out. And I'm probably going to end up buying that just so I can see what else they're going to give you in that, right? And of course, from the protection, remember those sites I was talking about where it's right there. So you know what that is. That's what you want to start blocking in your small business or even in your home, right? You don't want your kids going there. Um, then you got your profiles. Now, these are going to be port profiles. You got, Wi-Fi speed limits if you want to kind of reduce some, like the guest network. If you don't want them using up all your bandwidth, you do wireless profile. They have radius in here, right? So again, if you want to use your radius, if you want to point somebody to a radius server like ICE and kind of integrate ICE with Ubiquiti, you can do that. See what I'm saying, Cisco? People are starting to see there's other competitors in the market, man. You gotta make sure you on top of your game, or people gonna steal your lunch. Then you got your network objects, and then you have your WAN and LSA stuff. System stuff. This is basically for the dashboard itself, doing backups. Now, control plane is basically all the apps that you can possibly install on here. Any kind of integrations, backup, storage, console, any kind of information with the system, that's what you want to do here. Now, just like you saw that camera, that's in the protect system, right? That's the protect application. The network application is how you saw all that other data for the network. But they have access, which is doors. They have talk, which is like a voice system. I don't know what interspace and connect is just yet, but I know access is for doors. Talk is for your voice. So this is where you can control a whole bunch of stuff in your office just off of this one platform. All right. And then identity, obviously, if you want to use some kind of identity for like VPN stuff like that, this is where you can kind of build that stuff. So that is really, and obviously you go back to your dashboard. So that is the Ubiquiti dashboard and kind of ecosystem in a whole. Again, this is, if you know anything about Meraki, this is similar to Meraki, right? But it's not. I think Meraki still got some headway for now, and I keep saying it. Cisco, people are coming up. The challenges are getting smarter and they're getting better. So eventually, it's going to be. It's going to be. You're going to have competition eventually. All right. Now, the one thing I will say, if we go back to the site manager, they have Meraki has this thing called Auto VPN. Oh, guess what Ubiquiti has? Site Magic. It is literally the same thing. It is a place where you can create VPN tunnels automatically without a whole bunch of configuration, just like Auto VPN. So I'm not going to create it just yet. I'll probably do a video for that on a between the home office and regular office. So if we hit this Site Magic SD-WAN, literally the same thing. So you could connect multiple sites together, just like, hey, if you want to connect multiple real estate offices together for some reason you want to do that, you would just come in here and you can create either a hub and spoke. And usually you're going to do hub and spoke because it's going to a data center or something like that. And you just want everybody to go to the data center, or you can do a mesh, which is really just connecting two sites if you want to do that. All right. But again, this is automatically behind the scenes creating the auto VPN tunnel in just a couple of clicks, just like auto VPN on Meraki. So that is the Ubiquiti platform, little overview, stuff I've been dealing with, stuff I've been really, going into this. And I'm like, man, Ubiquiti has definitely come a long way from when they first came out. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to do a lot more videos on the Ubiquiti platform. Again, I'm probably going to get my hand on some enterprise stuff so I can really compare it, because they got stacking over there. They have redundant power supply. They got all kind of stuff over there. Ubiquiti, hint, hint, send me some gear. Um, but I hope you like this video as much as I like doing it. If you like content like this, and if you want to see some more Ubiquiti stuff, and I hope I'm not chopping their name up, let me know in the comments, man. And don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. Send it on your socials. Bring more people in, because as you can see, I just don't do the enterprise stuff. I just don't do Cisco or Juniper or Palos. I also, do Ubiquiti. I might show you Omada so you can see kind of a comparison on that as well. This is Don from Padlock Technologies. Thank you, and have a nice day.